Hey everybody, welcome to Maximum Muscle Report, preview of the 2018 Olympia. We're going to give you our predictions and much more. Your host, Mandus Buckle, alongside co-host, Sarah Lyon.
Hello.
Sarah, this is a very highly anticipated 2018 Olympia. We could see changes in all four divisions. We know we're going to see a change in the women's physique as a defending champion isn't here. We know we're going to see a change in the fitness division as a defending champion isn't here. And bikini's absolutely up for grabs as the only three-time defending champion is now throwing her hat back into the ring. And figure your defending champion actually lost to another competitor earlier this year at the Arnold. So, wow.
Everything's a toss-up.
Every female class is an absolute toss-up.
Yep. So let's kick it off with figure.
Let's do it.
All right. So for the figure division, I'm going to have to say that we're going to have Candice Lewis and Sydney Gillen in those top two spots. Now, who will it be in the top two? I think that's going to be based on opinion right now. I personally think that Candice this entire year has hands down beaten Sydney, just with her symmetry and balance and her conditioning that she brings. Where Sydney, when she's just a little off, she looks a little off.
Yeah, when it comes to overall symmetry and balance, I think they're 1 and 1A. I think Sid is actually a little wider in her V-taper. Actually has a little better symmetry. Her shoulders are a little wider. Her V-taper is a little wider. Candice usually beats her in the conditioning when she beat her at the Arnold. Sid was a little off.
Both Arnolds.
And so Sid just doesn't look quite sharp enough where Candice has been razor sharp. I think you're going to see Sid come back to form of last year, defend her title. It's just her overall look, her presence, her posing. She is as statuesque as can be. But this is as close as it gets.
Yes.
This is really as close as it gets.
This is what everyone pays for to come and see.
Absolutely. And the two of them, both of them want to win as bad as possible. But they're also both very graceful. You don't see any commotion. You don't see any friction or tension between the two of them. They both carry themselves very well.
Yeah, very professionally.
Absolutely. What do you see the rest of the top 6 or 7 looking like?
In that third place spot, I think it's going to be based on the conditioning, who comes in where. I actually have Heather Dees in that third place spot. Her overall presence and the way that she's progressed significantly over the last couple of years, I could see her in that third place spot with Nicole Wilkins following in the fourth. And then, with the fifth place spot, I'd have to go with either Maria Diaz or Ivana Vucic. Again, depending on what kind of a conditioning package they bring. With figure, if you're tight from the front and you're not tight from the back, that's gonna adjust those placings there.
Yeah, we saw Ivana just a few days ago at the Tim Gardner Arizona Pro, and she finished third. And considering she was a week out for the Olympia and she was top 7, top 8 last year. She was not nearly as sharp as I was anticipating. You can change some things in a week, but I don't think it's the jump that everyone was expecting. I think people were expecting or hoping that she would make a big jump from last year to this year. I just didn't see it this past weekend. I actually have her out of the top 6 or top 7. Nicole Wilkins maybe finishing, being in that first call out, but finishing near the end of the first call out. I think you've got Maria Diaz, Heather Dees, and Jessica Padilla battling really for that 3, 4, 5 spot. It can really shake out anyway. We know Heather Dees is going to come in condition. We know she's going to come in condition. The thing with Heather's always been she's got a little bit of a bigger waist compared to the rest. this field, though, as you guys see, is missing a big name.
Yes.
Latoria
Watts.
Latoria Watts, it appears she will not be competing this weekend. That's not something any of us want to hear, as we're fans of the sport and love to see excellent physiques. Latoria Watts is who really brought this division to where it's at now.
Sure.
With that crazy cartoonish physique, and really has drawn this division to a whole new level. So Latoria, we're gonna greatly miss you, seeing you up there this year. So things are really up for grabs for the 3, 4, 5.
Things are. We have that set 1 and 2, but then the rest is going to be, based on who shows up where at prejudging.
Yeah. So obviously we have very differing opinions on our top 6.
We sure do.
So we will see what happens. Let's jump right into fitness then.
Sure.
Oksana, last year's champion, retired. And you have a name someone who has been just excellent for years. Her routines are out of this world. And you want to talk about a perfect ambassador for the fitness division. That's Whitney Jones.
Yep.
Now, unfortunately, Whitney has been battling some unbelievable injuries, yet it hasn't stopped her from competing.
No, and you can see that throughout all of her Instagram posts, throughout seeing her in person, as we've seen her quite frequently this year. It has not changed a thing, to our eyes. I really think that it's going to be her show to lose.
I think it's Whitney Jones as the new fitness Olympian. I think it's the best possible case scenario for everybody who is a fan of a sport. Again, for someone to bring that much energy and excitement and be such a great ambassador and have such great routines and have such a great physique, and while all that's going on, again, be battling. And we're not talking about little aches and pains. We're talking about major injuries, and to continue to overcome that. What an amazing example. And I think she's someone who's going to push her and who's going to jump a few spots is Rael Graber. She has consistently gets better and better and better and continues to compete. And we saw her this past weekend in Arizona as well. Wow, she put on a show.
Yeah, she did. And her conditioning was there too. So, even though that's the lesser amount of points for that fitness division, I think that's also what's going to give the judges the extra push to go with one versus the other. Depending on what they looked like in the 2-piece round. Yeah.
You've got Regina Da Silva, Miriam Capes, and Bethany Wagner all as good as it gets. So it'll be very interesting to see really how that 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 rounds up. But again, I have Rael slightly edging out Regina, followed by Miriam Capes and Bethany Wagner. It'll be interesting.
I guess we agree a little bit more on this division.
And there, yeah. I will say this, no knock to the other divisions whatsoever, but as a fan of athletes, this is the most entertaining division.
Oh, every show, every time we see, especially the ones that come in conditioned, how they do it, how they practice their routine for hours on end every day at that low of a body fat percentage while dieting. It's incredible. It's incredible to even think about.
Unbelievable. And guys, for those of you who haven't had the chance to watch an amazing routine live, yet alone, while they'll be streaming, you have to see this. It really is something, because you don't get quite the same feel of the excitement and energy as you do in person when you see them come out on stage. No matter what you're doing when you're in the audience, you literally stop, turn around, and watch the stage. You get entrenched into what's going on up there.
Yeah, absolutely. It's very not only entertaining, but jaw-dropping in the sense of the acts that they perform and how they put on their show for everyone.
Absolutely. Women's physique.
Women's physique. Let's hear it. What do you think?
Well, this is another division where we know there's a changing of the guard. The ex-champion's not here. So there will be a new Miss Olympia women's physique.
I I think the word on the street, for lack of a better term, is that it's going to be Shanique Grant, that it's going to be her show to lose because of those, that freaky small waist. You just don't really see that in that division. Besides Autumn Swanson, Autumn also brings that waist as well and that shape. Will she be conditioned enough? Will she nail it on the head? We'll see.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to really compare the two. You've got the waist, but Shanique just has this freaky round fullness and big round muscle bellies with that tiny waist. If she comes in condition, which all the pictures have shown, I don't really think it'd be hard pressed for anybody to be able to beat her.
Sure. That's where I have her too in that first place spot there.
And you talk about someone, Autumn Swanson. A few years ago, Autumn Swanson burst onto the scene, took fifth at her first Olympia, turned around a few months later, and just blew away the field at the Arnold Classic.
Yeah.
When she walked out on stage, she was the winner.
Mm-hmm.
And it didn't even matter who else showed up behind her. She was somewhere in the middle of competitors. And when she walked out, everyone went, Now, we haven't seen Autumn Swanson look like that since then. She's made a lot of changes with her camp, so to speak. She's been through quite a few trainers and quite a few coaches. But it looks like she's back to being the old Autumn Swanson.
Yeah, we saw a little bit of it at Tampa just about 6 weeks ago. She did bring not where it was, but that conditioning was closer to where it had been before since then.
And since then, she's been much sharper.
Mm-hmm.
We've seen the pictures released. Jennifer Taylor,
I think, is going to be a toss-up. There's a lot of, I feel, a little bit of younger faces in the division. Jennifer Taylor definitely brings that conditioning and a little bit of that hardness that is necessary for the women's physique division. But her age is starting to show a little bit.
Yeah.
So I think she might slide into that top 5, but do I think it's second or third? I don't think so.
When it comes to Jennifer Taylor, though, top to bottom, front to back, left to right, she's complete.
Mm-hmm.
She's very balanced, symmetrical.
Mm-hmm.
You're right, Father Time is starting to catch up, but as long as she's conditioned with that balance and symmetry, it's hard pressed to knock her out of the top 3 or 4. Natalia Cohn just won this last weekend against her in Arizona. One of the young guns coming up who has balance and symmetry.
And definitely not her first show to win either.
Right. Still probably needs a little more size, but it's a good matchup with her and Autumn Swanson, who are very similar physiques. And again, Jennifer Taylor was not as sharp as she usually is this past weekend. I could easily see her sharpen up and maybe overtake Natalia. I've got those 3 battling for the 2, 3, 4 spot. Again, they're so similar in their structures. I just think that this is the year we see women's physique. There's been a lot of talk about it was becoming too much like a small bodybuilder. And they even released they released some things earlier this year with Miss Sandy Williamson coming out to define what they wanted to see in this women's physique division. The champ walked away saying she didn't want to be hard and grainy and dry anymore. So I think this is the year you're going to see Jennifer Taylor's, Autumn Swanson's, Natalia, Danny Castillo, if she's in shape, Sharonica Hinton, if she's in shape. These are names who have that balance and structure who might overtake the veterans who've been in the top 5, like a Heather Grace, who comes in great condition, hard, shredded, dry, but has a slight imbalance there.
Yeah, I think after seeing Heather Grace this past weekend at the Arizona Pro, I think where Heather is going to be deducted, so to speak, is the size that she has put on. She looks almost borderline there. She's larger than the other women's physique athletes.
Yeah, shoulder to shoulder, she's really wide, which usually is a great thing.
Mm-hmm.
But her lower body doesn't balance. Right. Doesn't balance out to the upper body. Mm-hmm. Michaela Aycock is another young gun, but again, there's a little bit of an imbalance there. Her upper body is pretty dominant compared to her lower body. She's really slight in the hips, so there's not a lot of X going on down below. A little slight in the quad sweep.
But she always nails that conditioning.
Always nails that conditioning. And then Kira Newman. Which Kira Newman do we see?
She's a wild card, right? Do we see the first Kira Newman that we saw in, 2016 Chicago? Or do we see the Kira Newman who just is not there? That we saw the last couple of years that we have been seeing.
Yeah, she has downsized, so she's no longer looking like a bodybuilder. Mm-hmm. She has downsized, so her balance and symmetry is there. It's a matter of conditioning with Kira, so that'll be interesting to see. A lot can happen in that division, but one thing we do know is there will be a new champ.
Yep.
Who it's going to be is yet to be seen. Last but not least,
rounding it out, bikini.
Wow.
The GOAT is back. Ashley Kaltwasser is back. After taking that time off, we've seen her this year winning all 3 shows that she competed in, looking better than we've ever seen, in my opinion. And I definitely have her in that first place spot. I think she's back to claim that title, and I think she's put in that time and work to do so.
You know, Ashley has won every show. A couple of them were really close. I don't know if she's as good as she was when she was on that run where she was winning year after year after year. But the best version of Ashley Kaltwasser, I agree with you, I think is better than the best version of an Angelica, perhaps, which we really haven't seen Angelica. She nailed it a couple years ago.
But we really haven't seen her best since.
Right. She always could be a little tighter from the back. And with the way that everyone else has been bringing their legs down, Angelica could be a little fuller in the legs, which could make her slide a spot or two. It'll be interesting. We don't know what they're going to look for, what they're going to do.
I think what will give that away is how her tie-in looks.
Right.
Last year at the Olympia, you could see it. It was pretty obvious that it just wasn't there how it has been before. So, and like you said, with how these other girls have been coming in, the tightness, that's going to be very obvious on stage next to the rest of the girls that we see in that first call out, which I think is also going to be followed with Laura Lee Chapattis, Jennifer Ronziti, of course, Romina Bass, and Elisa Pacini as well.
There's a new name there, Laura Lee Chapattis. I think, again, an Angelica, if she's not as tight as she needs to be, that's not a real great matchup for her. Laura Lee Chapattis is young, is linear, is tight, well-conditioned. She's won 3 shows and 3 major shows this year. She won Toronto, she won Chicago, she won Tampa, and she won all 3 hands down. We could say she got pushed slightly by second and third, but when she's on stage, she
lights up the
really
stage.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it comes down to, again, of course, with the bikini division, it's not just their physiques. And Laura Lee gives that full package in the sense that her suit color is right, her connectors are right, her hair, her makeup looks great, and then of course her smile on stage and the way that she poses and presents herself. It's very pleasing to the eye, and it draws your attention to it.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting. I wouldn't be surprised if Laura Lee is as high as second or third. Is that maybe too fast of a climb? Some people should say that doesn't matter, but we know in sports, veterans tend to get a bit of a nod if you've been there for a long period of time. It'll be interesting to see. I've got her right now 4th, maybe 3rd. Again, wouldn't be surprised if she finishes 2nd. And I would not be shocked. I know a lot of people would be shocked. I would not be shocked if she was your new Bikini Olympian. Now, I have Ashley Kaltwasser, who I think is going to win.
Mm-hmm. But
if it's not Ashley, I would not be shocked if you see Lee Chapattis, the new Miss Bikini Olympia. I know that's something that probably nobody else has on their board.
Not mine. Not mine. I can see Lee sliding into that second place spot. I will give her that. Though, like I said, the way that she presents herself, the overall package she brings, the tightness that she brings in her hams and her glutes, I think that is enough to surpass Angelica and put Angelica down in the third place spot. With Jennifer Ronziti falling short in fourth place and Romina Bass falling in that fifth place spot. I think that's going to be, I have a strong feeling that that's what I could see as the bikini top five. And I think it would make sense as well. You know, it's not going to be too, you know, you're not throwing Angelica out of the top five by any means.
Oh, no.
She still is the reigning champ.
Correct.
But will she bring enough to defend that title and to keep it? I don't think so. We'll see. Yeah. We'll see. She has not been posting a lot from the back, especially. So of course, you know, shows her won and lost from the back.
Yeah. and we saw Jen Ronziti just a few days ago.
She looked great.
She looked great. She could be just a touch tighter.
Right. But that's something that's simple enough for, you know, with her.
She's a veteran.
Yeah.
And Kim Oto's in the corner.
Right.
Yeah. If there was a Mount Rushmore of coaches, most people don't talk about Kim Oto because he mainly coaches bikini division, but he is the current bikini guru without a doubt.
Absolutely.
There's a lot of other names on this list, Sarah. We haven't yet mentioned India Polino, Narman, Casey Samsel.
The usual suspects that we have seen. Yeah, that 6th to 11th to 12th place spot. I mean, even all the way up to 15th, it's going to be very competitive. Not only the first call out's going to be competitive, it's going to be the second call out as well. And even that last third call out. You know, all those girls fighting to place in that top 15 in the world.
I think you're going to see quite a few newer faces surpass those veterans that we just mentioned. I think you're going to see Jennifer Dory out of Canada be battling for that 6, 7, 8 spot. I think Elisa Piscini, who is still the youngest Bikini Pro, I believe, was a little slight, but was doing well early in the year. We've seen she's put on some more size. Is it going to be enough? It's going to be hard pressed to bump her out of a 6, 7, 8 spot. Frida Paulson, she's always conditioned with her. Does she get too hard? Does she soften it up a little?
Right.
That'll be interesting. Monica Ellis. She's another one who's on the climb. Has a great look, good stage presence.
I'd like to see her tighter. Seeing her in San Antonio and in Arizona, I just don't think she's on that same level as the first call-out girls, which is, of course, why she's not in that first call-out for us. But will she fall into that 9, 10, 11, 12 spot? I think so. I could see that. I'd like to see Jennifer Dory up there as well. I could definitely see her in that 6th place spot based on her physique. Hopefully she made the proper adjustments to her posing and her stage presence that were necessary. Because if not, you know, on this level, when you're talking about the Olympia, it's just not good enough to have that great of a physique and not bring the rest of the tangibles to the stage.
Right. So how far does a say India Paulino slide?
Yeah.
You know, how far does a Narman slide?
Yeah.
How far does a Casey Samsel slide? We saw her this past weekend. I saw regression from last year. I think she looked better last year. And the things that I saw were even more of an imbalance. Her upper body looks really slight. You might see Casey Samsel fall out of the top 10. You know, 8th, 9th, perhaps. 10th, 11th wouldn't surprise me. With all these new names and faces we're talking about, I could see Narman sliding all the way down to the 8th or 9th place. I could see India Paulino
I could see India and Norman still hanging in there in that top 10, especially with Norman the last few years. The thing that works against her is her height. She kind of gets swallowed up against the taller girls. But when Norman comes in condition, especially with how they've been placing the first girls this year, she does bring a very tight package and a good stage presence too. So it'll be interesting to see her, as we have not seen her in person this year. So I'm looking forward to seeing that as well. And then, you even have to think about, with India, is she still going to be tight enough in the hams and glutes? That's where she kind of got, where she ended up third in Tampa was because of the tightness she lacked.
Now we're looking, 6-7 weeks later. I'm sure she's just tighter and tighter. So again, 6 through 11, wow.
Just as exciting as 1 through 5.
Just as exciting. Again, we've got Jennifer Dory, Elisa Piscini, Frida Paulson, India Polino, Narma Nasaria, Monica Ellis, Casey Samsel, all battling. So it's going to be very, very interesting.
And we didn't even talk about Janet. There's other girls that have been,
Janet Leug is another one.
And it'll be a very interesting bikini lineup, just as the rest of the women's divisions and the male divisions.
Absolutely. A lot to look at. Obviously, we had a lot to talk about. Guys, we hope you've been entertained. We will see what happens this weekend. We're both predicting a new champ in in bikini. So we're going to see 2 new champs for sure in fitness and in women's physique. You're predicting a new figure champ.
I think new all around. New fitness, new figure, new women's physique, new bikini.
Wow. It's a lot. That's a lot. I see 3 new champs and Sid Gillen defending her title. Let's wait and see. Guys, till next time, we will be here all week giving you wall-to-wall coverage. Mandus Buckle, Sarah Lyon. We'll see you in a couple days.